Hello, welcome back to the Board Games 4K YouTube channel, and this is a channel where we give you reviews, playthroughs, unboxings. Generally like to talk a load of bollocks about tabletop gaming in general. And in this video we're going to be talking about a Civilisation building game. We're going to be talking about Tapestry, and in this game you'll be moving one of your markers up one of 4 tracks, taking an action that will give you a benefit that will maybe give you points that will allow you to win the game. So in this video we're going to be giving you a very brief overview of the rules. We'll be telling you what we do like, what we don't like, and we'll come back and we'll tell you whether or not Tapestry is worth your time and bother today and in the future. So remember, if you're new here, then please consider subscribing to this channel. Leave a comment in that section down below. We'll see you after this.
Board Games 4K.
So, Tapestry. How do you play this game? So Tapestry on the surface looks really simple. You're basically going to be doing 2 phases of this game. You're going to have the income phase, then you're going to have the advance phase. So we'll skip the income phase for the time being. Basically what you'll be doing, you'll be choosing one of the 4 tracks and you'll be moving your marker up that track by 1 space, and then you'll be taking the benefit that that space provides you. So there's 4 different tracks to move up on in Tapestry. You've got the exploration track, you've got the science track, you've got the technology track, and you've got the military track. And all you'll be doing, you'll be grabbing your little marker and you'll be moving up 1 space and you'll be taking the action. So you notice that each space has a cost associated with it, so you pay the relevant cost. It might be 1 resource of any type, or it might be 1 resource of any type and then 1 or maybe several of another type of resources. And there's 4 different types of resources in this game. You've got sumo wrestlers, which is workers, you've got food, you've got coins, and you've got culture, and you'll place the markers for this on the income track of your player board. You know what I mean? There's also a bonus space. You can elect to pay the cost of the bonus action on the space that you choose. And you'll also notice each track is divided into 4 different tiers, and when you move your marker across the threshold towards a new tier, then you will be able to take the landmark that is associated with that space and you'll be able to place it onto your capital city board, which we'll get into in a little bit. Right, we're not going to bog ourselves down with too much detail on what the actual spaces mean, because there's a lot of iconography in this game. But basically, if you move up on the exploration track, you'll be able to take the explore action, and what this does, it will allow you to select a territory tile from your supply and place it on an unexplored hex adjacent to a territory that you control, and then you'll take the bonus, if any, that is printed on that tile. So when you reach tier 4 of this track, then you'll be able to explore outer space because you would have built a space shuttle or something like that. And you'll do the same thing. You'll take a tile and you'll place it off the board and you'll take a benefit associated with that tile, right? So on a science track, the game will tell you to roll the science die, and this will generally allow you to move up on another track. You may or may not be able to take the action associated with that space, and you may or may not be able to take the bonus action associated with rolling the science die, you know what I mean? So with the technology track, you'll generally be inventing new technologies. You'll more often than not be able to select one of the face-up technologies, and some of these technologies are really quite powerful. So you might be able to invent clocks, and if you do that, you'll take the card associated with the clocks and you'll place it next to your player map. You'll place it on the lowest space, which means you're not going to get any benefit until you upgrade your technology. And if you upgrade the clocks, they will allow you to move up on the technology track. You won't be able to take the action associated with that space. If you move up to the top tier in technology space, then you will get victory points for every space that you've moved up on the technology track during the income phase, which we'll talk about in a little bit. So you might be able to invent air conditioning, in which case you'll get a worker if you upgrade the technology, and if you upgrade the technology all the way up, then you will get a free building to stick on your capital city board. But you'll notice that there is a caveat, and you will have had to have advanced up to tier 2 on the technology track, or you can rely on one of your neighbours, people to the left and right of you, of doing it first. You know what I mean? So the final track is the military track, and you may be able to take the conquer action, in which case you will take an outpost from your supply and place it on a territory that has no more than 1 token on it and is adjacent to a territory that you control. And the second thing you'll do is you'll roll the conquest dice to choose one of the benefits that the conquest dice give you. You might be able to get some victory points from the red die, or you might be able to get some extra resources from the black die, but it's really up to you which one you choose. So you might be able to conquer somebody's territory. If there's no more than one outpost on a space, you will be able to conquer it, in which case you will place the opposing outpost face down, but your opponent may be able to counter this with a trap tapestry card, in which case you will have to topple your own outpost, right? Don't get stitched up. So once you have decided that you can't really take any more actions, generally because you've run out of resources, you'll move on to an income phase. There's going to be 5 income phases. The first income phase is always mandatory at the beginning of the game, and you will progress through your ages, and the game will end when you have completed your 5th income phase. There's several steps that you've got to follow in order in the income phase. The first thing you'll be able to do is you'll be able to use your Civilisation's special ability. So you might have the craftsman, and their special ability is that they want to create a wonder of the world, and you may place income buildings here as alternatives to your capital city. You must place each building on the lowest available space in a column of your choice, and as you cover the benefit, you gain it immediately. Or you might have the merrymakers, and the merrymakers frequently celebrate love and life. The longer the festival, the better. Shame I'll give up drinking, innit? You start with 1 player token at the bottom of each track, and at the beginning of your income phase, you select 1 token to advance upwards, and you gain the benefit that you land on. So there's several of these civilisations that give you special benefits in the game. In fact, there's quite a few really. It's going to provide you with quite a lot of replayability. First thing you're going to do is you'll be able to use the special ability associated with your civilization. So next thing you'll be able to do, you'll be able to play a tapestry card. And what you do, you'll select a tapestry card from your hand and you'll place it on the next available space. If you're the first person to do this on each era of your player board, then you will get a benefit that is listed on the map, right? So you might be able to play the colonialism tapestry card, and when you play it, you'll choose a territory tile that you control and gain each of the following resources based on its land terrain. For each mountain, you'll gain a worker, grassland will give you a culture, forest will give you a mushroom, and desert will give you some dosh, right? You might have the Renaissance, and when you play this, you'll advance on each track exactly once. Do not gain the benefits. You may gain any resulting bonus for free. Or you might be able to get socialism, and when you play it, you'll choose an advancement track, advance or regress your choice to match the closest opponent. You do not gain the benefit or the bonus. So these tapestry cards are varied. There's loads of them. You might end up with quite a few in your hand, but you only be able to play 3, or maybe get rid of some to do stuff, but you only basically be able to put 3 on your player board. They're all mostly very interesting, and the artwork on them is fantastic. So yeah, tapestry cards, super duper. So the next thing you'll be able to do is you'll be able to upgrade one of the tech cards next to your player board for free. You'll move it up to the next spot and you'll gain a benefit associated with that. So once you've upgraded your technology, you'll be able to gain victory points with anything with the laurel wreath around it. You'll move on to the gain income step of the income phase, in which case you look around your board and any of the uncovered buildings that you've got, you'll be able to gain a bit of income. You move your resources up, or you might gain a tapestry card, or you might be able to get other different stuff. So another area of this game that demands your attention is your capital city map. You'll notice that it looks like a Sudoku board, and it sort of is, because when you will be taking your buildings off your player map, you'll be able to place them in your capital city. You'll do the same for the landmarks. They're bigger, they take up more space, and when you have completed one of the smaller grids with 9 squares, you'll get a resource of your choice, and during each income phase you will get 1 victory point for each completed row or column that you filled up with buildings or landmarks, right? So once everybody has completed their 5th income phase, you might find that some people finish the game quicker than others, but once everybody's finished their 5th income phase, then you'll do a couple of extra little bits, and the player with the most victory points will be the winner of Tapestry. So what do we like about Tapestry? So the first thing that we really like about Tapestry is it looks absolutely bloody gorgeous, doesn't it? I mean, the developer has pushed the boat out yet again with the quality of the components. I mean, Stonemaier Games really started this trend of pushing the boat out. They don't rely on Kickstarter that much these days, but this sort of raising the bar of component quality started with Viticulture. He blew us away with Scythe, and this is no exception. It looks gorgeous. The miniatures are astonishingly beautiful. The board's colours are of wonderful pastel shades. The artwork on the tapestry cards is absolutely astonishing. Really does throw down the gauntlet to other publishing houses on where they're going to go with the quality of games. So the second thing that we really like about Tapestry is that the simple rule set hides a labyrinthine style of depth. Whilst it's just a case of moving your marker up one spot and taking a benefit, that fools you into thinking it's simple when it's not. There seems to be an infinite number of combinations between different tracks. You'll notice as well that each track that's opposite each other complements each other. Exploration and military sort of complement each other and go sort of hand in hand, and so does science and technology. So that's very, very clever. The game sort of reminds us a little bit of anything of stuff by Vital Lacerda, like especially The Gallerist, where you have these very, very simple mechanisms and the game seems to branch out and leads you down a rabbit hole of interesting choices, you know what I mean? So the third thing that we really like about Tapestry is the way that it reminds us of other really, really fantastic games. It seems to have borrowed a lot of the nuances and atmosphere of other games. I mean, we're thinking about Tokaido, where you're moving up the track and taking a benefit. That's also apparent in games like Francis Drake, where you're moving through Plymouth and you can't go backwards, but you're taking a benefit of the place where you landed on. You've got the exploration tiles, like in games like Archipelago and also Amerigo. That there's definitely a sort of a hint towards Christoph Bollinger and Stefan Feld there. You've got the track-based system of games like The Holder is Older, where you're literally, that's all you're doing, you're moving up a track and taking a benefit if you were highest up on the track. You've also got the income reveal mechanism from Terra Mystica, when you're taking the buildings off your board and revealing extra stuff. Okay, this was done inside and that, but it's very, very apparent here. And finally, you've got the simplistic nature that masks complexity in anything that's by Vital Lacerda. So we really enjoy thinking about other games when we're playing this, because it does hint towards other experiences that we've already had. So what don't we like about Tapestry? So the first thing that we don't like about Tapestry is that the Tapestry cards don't seem to be the main focus of the game. Okay, the game is called Tapestry, so we went into this thinking these cards have got to be the main focal point of the game, and it doesn't seem to appear that way, because you're only going to be using 3 throughout the game mainly. You might be able to get rid of a few, like we've already said, but generally you're only going to be playing 3, but you could end up with a mammoth hand of Tapestry cards that you cannot use, right? So it would have been nice had there been some other way of utilising the component that should be the most prominent point of focus in the game, you know what I mean? So the second thing that we didn't like but didn't really sort of understand about Tapestry is that on the board each track is divided into 4 tiers, and there's a logical progression through the civilization for each track. You can go from something very, very simple to something very, very complex. But when you're putting your Tapestry cards down on your player board, you go from making fire to becoming an Olympic host and then regressing back into developing academia, maybe like in the ancient Greek times, you know. So there was a sort of a discord between what was going on the board and what was actually going on in your hand. It didn't really compute very well with us. We're thinking, well, surely if it's a civilization building game, there needs to be a logical step. It might have been better had the Tapestry cards been split into different tiers for each different track, and when you move into the tier and the game asks you to draw Tapestry cards, then that's what you're going to draw, and then it would have made more logical sense on the player board itself, you know. So the next thing that we didn't like about Tapestry is that there doesn't seem to be any way of recapturing outposts once they've been conquered by an opponent. That was kind of disappointing in a way, because it meant that battles maybe didn't take place as much as they should do. That detracts from the focal point of the board in the centre. And also, when you did pull the trigger, you had to wait for your opponent to be in a certain space on the track so that they can't take the conquer action. And that might have been what the designer was hoping for. It didn't always materialise, because you might have been focused on doing something else and you just couldn't get your piece onto that track, or maybe your opponent couldn't get their piece onto that space that allowed them to do the conquer action. So it was a case of, if you conquer a space, then you leave yourself open to attack, and it made players sort of hold off from being a bit too combative in this game. So the final thing we don't like about Tapestry is the insert. I say we don't like it, it's a fantastic insert, but when we were packing this game up, we couldn't figure out where the landmarks were supposed to go. We sort of struggled to fit them into each space, and in the end we ended up tossing the insert out of the box and we just put the stuff in baggies, you know. So it's a real shame that the insert isn't maybe labelled. We could have gone round and like labelled the insert ourselves, but I don't know. But we were too busy worrying about packing the game away and getting to bed at a reasonable time, you know. So to summarise, is Tapestry worth your time and bother today and in the future? So we're going to say, yes, this game is a stunning production, no doubt about it, that offers an almost infinite number of possibilities and combinations when you're taking actions. With a high player count of 5, the game is just the right length, and it provides just enough brain mashing to drive you crazy, which is what we like. The game does suffer from a sort of a bit of a paper-thin, transparent theme, and there's also some wonky implementation of what should have been the focal point of the game, and that's a tapestry cast like we've already talked about. However, this is still a fascinating game full of possibilities, and it had us thinking about this game days after we played it first, and we couldn't wait to get stuck in again and explore the different pathways through this one. So we're going to give Tapestry 4 out of 5. If the Tapestry cards were more logically implemented, I think we would have given this a higher score. But there you go. That's Tapestry. Remember, if you're new here, please consider subscribing to this channel. Leave a comment in that section down below, and we'll see you next time.